this computer.
She said she was. But we have. There. Yep, we're just starting, right? Okay. We're calling this to order. We are going to start with public comment. We are going to make it a foreshortened public comment period though, in order to get their special meeting going, limited to 10 minutes. A minute per speaker. Do we have any public comment? We miss our library.
We're here to help.
That's not.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Going once, any other public comment? Yeah, okay, in that case, we're done. Our agenda today is obviously talking about this branch. The request has been made, and I apologize to everyone who is online for this, virtually attending, is that we are going to start with the tour of the facility.
Yes.
All right, so
Carry the laptop.
I can carry it on. That's fine.
are you sure?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
It might get a bit shaky, but I'm gonna carry the laptop.
And we won't have a problem re-hooking up and recording this.
We adjourn briefly.
This is being recorded.
Do you want to, shall we might as well record the trip.
Yeah, yeah.
This is what we call the front room, the small meeting room here. Well, never mind, somebody locked it again. Okay, that's the bookseller, which is a little bit bigger than this room. And it's completely full of, am I on camera?
You are on camera.
Completely full of the bookseller's books. Okay, let's go to the main part. Restroom and a small closet, which is very small. This is the main part of the library. For most of the history of the Lansingburgh branch, this was the Lansingburgh Library branch. This wasn't opened up until about 10 years ago for expansion of the branch. But for many, many years, this was it. Unfortunately, I think temporarily we have to go back to that, but basically we have a lot of stuff in here from that side. Most of the stacks and everything like that are in storage. This material is something that needs to be moved back into storage in that. Let me take a look here. This was originally part of the performance room. This whole building was an art center. This whole building, which houses the main part of the library, was an add-on addition. The original building in the front was first constructed in 1820. This part of the building was constructed in around 1900. As I said, this was the performance room as part of the art center, so this is not part of the library. Until about 10 years ago, we purchased actually, we purchased, the building and then, we repurposed this one eventually afterwards. When we purchased the building from the school district, Lansing High School District. The mitigation that has taken place, a lot of the flooring was removed. There were about 2 or 3 levels of flooring. That were here, all of that's been removed and new subfloor has been laid. You could see part of the ceiling was removed because again, water damage. And then this whole wall was, taken down because of water damage. I thought it would be kind of cool if they leave it like that. But, and then, some of the way it's going there with the, this, the row of lights that's sitting in there is actually things like this.
But it's all pinned down,
Okay.
it's all this pinned down to the. this- this
Yeah,
side
they
is-
remove those.
Yeah.
They
And the
just throw it,
side,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Do they
Yeah.
sell trash or salvaged?
No, I don't think we can salvage that.
Yeah, we were told that nothing could be salvaged.
Yeah.
so they tossed off the tin, they could.
It's not impossible to even purchase it. Type of tin ceiling, people use it. I mean,
And you can see there are patches in there already.
Yeah.
They're
Mhm.
colored.
Yeah,
they cleared the
lead right over there.
Yeah.
Patch of the lead.
The pattern is different, yeah.
Quirky. So obviously been fixed in the past.
If you keep that over here, it's gonna be-
I'm just gonna ask, is there questions from anyone who's on the meeting?
The access to here, you can see that that is a door that leads outside, but it's to the ramp, the handicap access ramp. And there's another door here, that normally is locked. That was long storage. That's space.
Yeah, there is storage up there. That's what the boxes are.
Yeah, that's a small attic up there.
Very small.
Yeah.
It's like that over
You were up there. Okay, moving right along. Just wanted to point out real quick that the small cramped office space, which is the only space they have to do a lot of processing and other kinds of work. But it is there. This door leads outside, we don't really use it except as an exit door.
So that is the primary entrance door into the building?
Yeah.
During open hours, all 3 doors are unlocked, but that's the one that most people use.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh. Okay. We're going with you?
Yes.
All right.
Any damage upstairs?
No,
Good.
no. It's sort of a weird noise.
Gonna get very bumpy.
This is our primary, meeting room, or what we use as a meeting room. It's pretty good size, its problem is there's no handicap access to the second floor. So there's limits as to what meetings you can hold up here. And that's a door to the sort of emergency stairwell that was recently, we had to repair and reattach to the building. Okay. It's,
It is. That is the access to the roof.
well, it's the access to that roof.
Yes,
Oh.
The other roof is access to that. Roof.
this one.
Of
Yes.
course.
This is the new addition.
That's only 100 years old.
It's only 120 some.
This is storage.
This is specifically designed for junk.
Most people just have a drawer for junk.
No, we have a whole room.
Oh, yeah. All craft supplies mostly.
Okay.
And storage. Our yoga class stores their lamps and towels and yoga mats and stuff.
Actually, it's a good area for, we actually need something this big
Yeah,
for reusable stuff.
yeah.
And there's one more room that I don't have the key to.
I left my key downstairs. Would somebody like to take over laptop duty?
Sure. All right.
After you, Paul? Okay. I think it's locked. It's probably not. It's probably locked. For now. Turning like that. There's one more room here if you want to stay up. We're getting the key. Yeah, we're getting the key. The key will be here momentarily. This is a small sink in the middle of, I don't know, the hallway.
It's very handy when the kids were little and we were doing art projects in there.
Well, that's the thing. It was the art set. And it was handy.
The art center, under whose auspices? Under the library?
Well, no, there was an organization that was, I forgot what it was called now. But it was a nonprofit organization. You know.
And was that when the library was here as well?
Yeah. Now, they owned the building. Or not, they didn't own it, they had rights to the building through the school district. They no longer exist. I mean, they went out of business years ago. And then we purchased the building from the school district. But
Is the heating system
this
working?
is often or has been used
I was worried about
as a young people's room. We haven't lately used it for that.
Was tutor time used to be here?
What's that?
Tutor time?
No, that's in the building.
That was in the other room?
Yeah. Okay. I don't think I covered everything, don't you?
That's pretty much the whole.
Oh, it's in the basement, but that's,
Yeah, well, there's two.
that's
Yeah.
Double fine.
dangerous.
We need to bring flashlights.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming with us on this journey.
Paul,
Yeah.
isn't it ironic? The furnace is working great and we can't use the building.
That's not sad. Yeah, actually, the project there worked all.
Yeah, don't change that.
Access to the basement is from the exterior, is that correct?
Which one?
Yes.
The exterior.
Yeah, yeah.
And can folks on the line hear the room all right? I know we were moving around a lot, so.
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay.
We lose it.
No, in fact, I think we gained some people.
All right.
You didn't gain anyone. I just switched from my phone to my laptop.
Okay, yep.
Anyways, so we've seen the things now, we have a couple major questions on agenda here, which is, do we go with the opening plan? And then shifting. the grant package?
Well, yeah,
So,
there's, two things on the agenda, whether or not to reopen as is, well, I think.
the two primary questions, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot more.
And also switching, repurposing the 2024 grant once again.
So, let's. What are some materials for people to look at? This is a reopening plan,
Yeah, that.
we've all had.
the police reopen.
Yes.
Right.
No, I'm not informed. Thank you.
Some of them are 2 pages. You might wanna-
They're all.
No, well, this one's doubles.
Oh, it's-
I did a few.
All right. So we have a lot of questions before we work on decide whether or not, think about whether or not we need to open.
Well, I think, just to say briefly, basically, we would be reopening the library where it originally was. And my suggestion is that, this is neat. I think it's. It's nice.
It's probably the best.
But. In that portion of the building, and then, organ off the other portion that, was damaged. We had to move a bunch of stuff around, of course, and clear out what was stored, now stored in here. Worst part of that is moving those light fixtures, but I may have to get help with that.
Please don't
And,
lose yourself.
What's that?
Please don't move.
No, no, I'm not gonna do
Okay,
that.
I'm sure we can find people on top of that.
I'm not sure. Matter of fact, probably get a quick response to move it back. And then, of course, as the outline says, a few limitations on service. One of the larger ones is we would lose handicapped access because the ramp is off of that one. So that's a minor problem to deal with. But I think overall, I think it's the best way to go. I think we can, because there's an awful lot, I think we're gonna have to do to finish getting funding and start the reconstruction.
had a question about having to close the main library in order to, that's in here. Did I misunderstand?
What's that?
What?
Are you talking about full staffing at Troll? That sentence there? That's just for Lansingburg staff.
Oh, just for Lansingburg,
Yeah.
so.
Yes. Apologies, I did not make that.
Do we expect
so-
the,
Thank you.
We're saying going back to the full hours at the beginning, that's it. Not at me.
I had misread and thought that there was going to have to be some closing of the
No.
main library. But I see looking at it again.
would all the regularly scheduled, staff members who would go to Lansingburg start working here, or would we kind of like phase in based on how many people might come back to the library?
Well, on the back of the, or the second page of the plan, there is a proposal to, have a couple of weeks where we are only open 3 hours, or, I'm sorry, 3 days a week, not full hours for the day. And the hours are listed on this. We will get you a copy, Carolyn. And, so that is to ease the transition between the two.
And would it be the same amount of staff? That's really my question. Would it be the same number of like staff as if the library was open full time? There was no renovation work that needed to happen.
Oh, well, before we can open all the Lansingburg staff would be up here, so there are 6 staff up here. And then, yes, during those open times, any regularly scheduled staff would be present,
Thank you, Lauren.
yes.
And what about programs? When would programs be?
We could start offering some programming because we would probably need this space. This room that we're in for an alternate use. We would not be able to allow to have as many programs, because we would be down to 1 programming space. Which would be upstairs.
Yes, but we wouldn't have handicap access.
We would not have, it would not be accessible, unfortunately,
To the library.
either, yeah, either one.
Can we open without handicap access?
Putting ourselves at great risk if we do that. I would recommend strongly against that.
Even though we do have in our system handicapped access.
For providing public service. We would have to have.
In the building.
In this space.
Yes, yeah.
I think we could provide temporary handicap access without. With some effort. But I don't think that I recommend doing opening without.
Yeah, I think there's, they have to do a couple of repairs, but, probably the best place for some kind of temporary ramp would be this door over here on the east side.
It looked like a good candidate.
Yeah, which wouldn't be, I think it's a lower stool. So, yeah, I think it would be big.
So we would have to build something. Will we then have to get it cleared by the city code enforcement, the fire inspector to make sure it's meets like a minimum ADA standard? I know the building is like grandfathered in. I just don't know if it's like egress.
I don't think you need a temporary handicap access.
The fact that it was not. Closed by, code officials, I think, I don't think we are under a mandate that we can get code official approval to reopen it. However, I think if we are modifying things from the plans that are current, that are on record for certificate of occupancy, I think it'd be very prudent to get their at least informal review and thumbs up.
Yeah, no, I figured that,
Yeah,
but I don't think that has to be a thing.
I was just worried about.
Not application, no, but
Yeah.
I think, you know, a review of what we need to do and
Yeah,
conversation, make sure that they're on board with it. That's a temporary thing.
And that's whether or not we open, period, whether, not even talking about a handicap,
That's
just whether or not we're opening.
yes, and that would include provisions for handicap access. If they were comfortable with egress.
Yeah, that was my biggest concern coming into today, that, well, I absolutely support reopening, if we can't provide services here for every member of the community. And if you do it in a way without checking with the city about whatever plan we have, I know, good point that code enforcement didn't shut us down, that was proactive on our part. I think it's a great idea to run it by the city just to make sure nothing comes up down the line where the city inspects it after being notified by the press or through the library, that Lansingburg is reopening in some capacity, and then they inspect the space, and then they shut us down afterwards. I think avoiding any of that is essential, so. And it makes us look better for making sure we have all our ducks in a row.
Yeah, we'll make sure that everything is safe.
Yes.
For the public.
Just for my education, what makes a determination that we could have put it open if we didn't have a handicap ramp? Would that be code, under code, or fire?
The
Or just-
code official does have final word on that, they can make a
I'm curious.
determination on that, however, even with, or without the code official. One is always liable, from suit from members of the public. That is always the case with ADA. ADA is not a, it's a guideline that's, serves as a basis for civil rights. So one could be subject to civil rights, suit if one is not following those guidelines. Fine, those guidelines.
Do you have any idea of what that might cost?
Which,
Even a temporary access.
Ramp?
Ballpark, yeah, ballpark.
I'm not a contractor, so I'm used to working in a prevailing wage environment, so probably not have a good authoritative guesstimate at it, but I would guess it would be several $1,000s.
Having recently done something that required custom carpentry and you use far more wood, I'm pretty sure we'd be under, we'd be under 10,000. You're gonna be into thousands, but I think we'd be under 10. That makes a difference in terms of bidding or financing.
Aren't there temporary ramps or movable ramps, or would those not be suitable for a public space?
It might be. I'm not sure it'd be cheaper.
No. Permanent. I mean, I would envision a temporary ramp, you put it together with, wood. You could do it today and, I think you can comply with all the incline, specifications and so on. I think it's easy enough to do. That's the way I would go. Because we already have, good solid concrete access, handicap access.
Yeah, there might be a few other pieces that might be required for temporary facilities to bring the building to in this reconfigured arrangement. Might be a couple of pieces that need to get done.
I'm not speaking temporarily that, some wreck that's gonna fall apart.
Of course, yeah, I'm saying in addition to the handicap ramp, there may be a few other things that need to be addressed as well.
Yeah.
Wouldn't we have to modify our bathroom facilities?
No, our bathroom facilities have been muster in the past, I would assume, I have not, we did not go into the bathroom for our tours, so I have not looked at them closely, but I would guess that if the bathrooms met requirements in the past, they would continue to do so in the future.
Yeah, the other thing is, the ramp is gonna, would take up that whole, entrance space. I mean, you wouldn't really have stairs and a ramp, right? You just have a ramp. So,
It could be configured with both, but yes.
I found I was looking quickly. A pre-configured ramp, it would be 12 foot that could support up to 60 foot or 60 inches at the other end for about $1,500.
you,
So the site's a good site or not.
we have a minor problem with the concrete on that entrance. So if we have to fix that too,
What's wrong with the concrete on it?
there's a crack. It's like. This-
Also awkwardly spaced.
One of the things we have to consider before opening up. So it's totally fire, talking to code. Okay, looking at the cost of the ramp. Do you have any speculation on what that would cost?
What would cause?
Ramp or any other,
If I may.
Under 10.
I hear that, and
Or did you, something you'd like to say?
I was gonna say it would be $15,000 to do a temporary ramp.
if it's $9.99. Still,
I think it would be well under 10. If
I
that-
think it'd be prudent to budget conservatively until you know the full scope of work.
Precisely.
I would not, make final determinations.
see how, I'm opening or not opening.
No, on saying, before you make a final determination on what the cost would be to do that. Budget conservatively.
The question is though, if we look at some of the costs already incurred in that, will that affect whether or not we want to reopen again?
How long do we anticipate not being open if we don't open before?
Until we find.
A year to two. Even if we are able to repurpose the 2024 bridge, we don't see the money. So it'd be, by the time we see the money on that, and then we will start to work, at least you're looking at almost a year.
Just want to make sure we're not dropping appealing the insurance company's decision.
I'm sorry?
We're not dropping appealing the insurance company's decision in any means,
No,
right?
no,
Like,
I'm not talking here.
pursuing that regardless of grants, whatnot, that's like our first avenue for getting some money regardless of what back and forth needs to happen.
So have we spoken with our lawyer? Have we had any
Well,
feedback
no,
from
not
our
yet.
lawyer?
So I'm speaking to the not the adjuster, we have an insurance company, that handles, all of our insurance together. So I've been talking to them and will continue to until I get an idea of exactly how we can proceed with the insurance company.
Do you feel like it's something worth talking to Ellen about that? She or someone at Whiteman Osterman might be able to help us speed that process
Yeah,
along.
that's right. Yeah, I think that's another part of it, sure. But I don't just. I mean, I need to talk to a few people before I explain carefully to the lawyer what the problem is. It's just a process here.
I agree that looking at the insurance company and trying to get that sorted out. And it's important to do, I think it's so it'll be a long process to get there. I think looking at a temporary reopening plan first to reopen this facility in the meantime is a good idea. In order to do that, on a brief tour, Saw three things I think need to be addressed. One is the handicapped access, temporary ramp. One is modifying the egress hardware on this door here inside. Place the hardware on that door to provide handicap crash bar, panic devices, given the size of that space, the number of exits. Calculations of my informal thought is that we will need to replace that hardware on that door. And the third piece is that if we are contemplating having space occupied as a library, and then adjacent space that's occupied as a construction zone at some point, that we need to have a partition that is more substantial than a sheet of plastic.
Yeah, no, I did think, but now you can put actually a partition in 20 minutes. You know, with 2x4s. Or practically. But I don't know whether we need to do that now or whether we should wait until they start reconstruction. I mean, that's a question. I think the more I look at the plastic, the more I don't think people are gonna go through it.
I think I probably want to at least budget for that eventuality,
Yeah,
depending on the conversation with the code officials.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Opinion
assume
on that.
that
I just
a
want,
curious person would go through that, just because this has been closed for so long. And people are always asking about it, so.
well, I thought the
It's
best
to-
thing was to put a visible plastic in a portion so people can look in there and see what's going on.
Very good.
So that was my plan, which is not in this plan.
It is,
It is,
yes.
but you had like a vision thing, like,
We had discussed using temporary walls such as you would find in an office in front of that, and then there will be furniture in front of that entrance as well, because there are things that were in that room we want to make access to, such as the photocopier, fax machine. So it will not be easy to get to.
I'm sorry, could you elaborate on that a little bit? I missed that part you just mentioned.
Which part?
Fax machines, photocopy.
Yeah, those were housed in the children's room, and we would like to continue access to them.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah,
It's interesting to hear.
yeah, so they'll be located in front of that opening.
no, this is, okay, the partition, we have to, let's say we repair the plastic thing that's closed off completely. The other door is usable, right?
Yeah, it's
The
it's a
exterior.
block.
Yes.
The
Oh,
door
yeah.
right here, yeah.
Yes, the other interior,
Now
door.
that would be,
The hall.
remain locked
Yes, during open hours.
unless we had to get in there
Exactly.
for something. But yeah, that's the idea, that's sort of, yes, the partition would be completely closed off, you wouldn't be going in. And everything.
Yep.
Cause kids would do that immediately.
Yes.
It's like they come in the main library and go right up the stairs.
Have to be very careful on how we describe that, and what its use would be. Is it closed and not used at all? Or is it being used by staff? Two different things.
Which one?
The whole children's wing, essentially.
Would not be used by staff.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm sorry, you just said, maybe I misunderstood. Are we planning to use that area that's closed off currently, that children's area where the flood was? Will we be using that for photocopy?
No.
No.
Lori
No.
said they're gonna shift that room.
Yeah, that's-
Into the main.
Okay, feel better about that.
And
Thank you.
I think what she was saying is that it would be in front of that area, so
I-
it would provide
I
a
heard people
very.
talk about locked doors and being able to unlock doors and staff.
No.
I guess, you know, what I would say is that's going to be, or is a construction site and it's not accessible to anybody. Except the contractor.
Thank you.
Anyway, yes, I have, been in contact with our agent, our insurance agent, who can give us, I think, some additional guidance on the, policy and what best way to do, go forward with the insurance company. So,
I know Kristen made a list of questions last Tuesday. Did you communicate that, or is that something we don't want to? What?
I was just gonna think about process for a second.
Sure.
That we may
I don't know
want
if that's
that
part-
question part, the second part of this, and we want to talk about the opening first.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions or thoughts about the actual reopening right now, or that we need to think about before we make any kind of decision?
One of my questions is. Let's just spitball this and say we need $10,000. To do the necessary modifications. Where do we have that 10 right now?
where do what?
Where do we have the money if we needed to do this tomorrow?
Well,
Do we
we gotta
have
be
the-
taken out of the operating budget. And there's repair and maintenance line.
We had that extra line that got put into the 10,000. Into the current budget.
And as I said before, we expect to be about $40,000 of the good from next year.
Should I save some questions about how we're gonna pay for the work that's already been done? Okay.
Is that okay? Answer that part too? Because right now, I think our first question is whether it doesn't. I put a motion on the floor and anyone who would like to rephrase it, welcome. The motion is to open the Lansingburg branch with limited hours and in the limited space. If and when code and fire departments have at least given the Tri-Public Library an informal approval.
You said limited hours. Don't we say with the idea of going back to regular hours, you have to.
Well, this is to reopen it, and we will see how that later.
Because I mean, if you limited hours too much, then not gonna use.
Well, it also says limited space, and the whole point is at some point we'll go into a larger space, so. It's just for reopening. Anyone else see that same objection to the wording?
Well, is the intent then to go to a second resolution once we decide that our reopening plan is working and that return to full hours? Is that?
You can do that, or you can look at it at operation, but right now we're just deciding whether or not we're going to reopen this branch. But the whole point is to do it limited hours. That is the first strategy. I mean, there's a lot of operational decisions that we have to make. I mean, if it's limited. And I know there's some talk about how staff will be deployed in the beginning. I think it's gonna be an ongoing saga.
It's already.
Yes, it is. So,
No.
that kind of stuff. Absolutely. The motion is to open the Lansingburg branch with limited hours and in the limited space. If and when code and fire has at least given Tri-Public Library an informal approval.
Maybe.
Would that include? Authorization to make temporary modifications based on feedback from code/fire officials.
I don't know, would it need to be put in that motion to reopen?
I'm asking the question. I don't know.
Anybody?
We couldn't hurt to document that.
Approval. And any necessary modifications, any other,
Or subsequent, yeah.
any other,
Necessary.
any necessary,
Or subsequent.
I don't like any necessary. I'd rather say come back to the board after we spend the money.
Or temporary modifications required by code officials. Up to an amount of $10,000.
Saying it's also modified.
So let's see if I get this right.
Could I suggest something before you read it? I was gonna suggest dropping about limited hours, just say, oh, I mean, if we say open, it doesn't say what our hours are gonna be. So that, that makes it flexible.
It's best if we don't tie our hands too much in terms of operation.
I was just thinking, we want to make it clear that we are not opening full time. And it's
We-
previous hours.
We implied that with our reopening plan.
And if things were to go very well, is there an objection to it for once? Yes, I'll turn that over to the other way.
But you get into a situation where we'll have to have emergency meetings every week. You kind of want to probably avoid that.
I'm not adverse to dropping the word temporary. Or limited hours, limited hours.
I think we can make it clear to the public what our hours are as we transition back to fully opening this stuff.
So to open Lansingburg. To open the Lansingburg branch. In the limited space. If and when Code and Fire has at least given Tri-Public Library an informal approval. And temporary modifications. That are required are made.
Required by the code.
Are made.
Beautiful.
So to open Lansingburg branch with. In the limited space, if and when Code and Fire has at least given Tri-Public Library an informal approval and temporary modifications required by Code and Fire are made.
I second that motion.
Any other discussion?
On this motion.
Well, yes, on the discussion, on this
I
motion,
got another motion file on this one.
that's fine, but, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, okay.
Ryan texted me, hi.
Unfortunately, we'll get together. We appreciate it though. All right, so now on part two.
Actually, can I bring another, I have a motion up there. Authorization of expenditure of up to $20,000 to facilitate the reopening of the Lansingburg branch.
This, the Paul process, we have a second on that one, and then we can discuss.
Well, I'll second it so we can discuss it. Okay. So does that include the 10,000 that was already expended? Wasn't it 10,000 that was expended for the roof?
Yeah,
no,
11,000 some.
My thought would
That
be,
would be included in the next part of this meeting.
my thought would be to give the director the ability to go ahead and spend funds to make the necessary modifications. Acquire any needed equipment to open this place. Otherwise, we said we're gonna open it, but we haven't given them any money to work.
Does,
Let's give them some money to work.
does the director need authorization to spend money from the?
General operating budget. I don't think they need an authorization.
Well, not normally, but this would probably give me an idea of, oops, we're going over, we gotta have a meeting, or we can't do this because,
Okay.
we have to have a meeting.
Yes, so you would feel that, that'd be helpful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Problem.
Okay.
Okay, so we've identified that 10,000 of that would come from the, what's referred to as the collateral line for the building. Where will the other, no, well, that's the name of the line. What is
Collateral, it was,
It's a few words. Okay, for contingency. Yeah. But that's the line that could be used for this, and we're,
Well, as a line, yeah, I think there might have to be some moving around.
so, but are we approving
We certainly
spending
didn't
money we don't
expect
have?
this to happen.
Right,
Oh,
but
It's not budget.
I know, but we went over budget by 30,000 last year, so it makes me uncomfortable.
You know, we're budgeted from 30,000 last year, and then surplus of 40 from last year.
Yeah.
That doesn't,
That doesn't.
doesn't jive in my small brain.
It could be from leftover from earlier, other years, but, they're, Paul is looking more at the cash on hand, I think, where if you look at the budget, the expenses were greater than the income by about 30,000.
Yeah, but we're still waiting for the income to come in, and we understand it might be slow.
Yeah,
down,
there's
but that's
income
transition.
that's not reported in the December statement.
The what?
There's income that was not reported in the December. statement.
Well, but if we're on a cash
We
basis,
pay
that
for
goes into
2022.
January. So,
I mean,
there are different ways of looking at things, which lead to.
this would be an extensive study of the budget, which I don't think this meeting is designed to do.
Right, but I hate, I'm uncomfortable saying that, oh, yes, we'll approve up to 20,000 when we don't know where it's coming from. So that's all I was asking is,
Well, if we don't,
It's various places, as I say, we can move money around. This is an emergency situation. We didn't plan it, we didn't budget it. If we have to move money from one thing that we did budget, then we have to do that.
we have the
The
contingent.
Friends have already raised 8,000.
That was gonna
We
be my
think that
question.
they will probably help us out in this whole process. I think the money is there.
there's two things. A, if we don't authorize him spending the money, then we can't reopen. It's a cyclical thing. And two, we had spoken and talked about the new position being covered by money that we had. And then we got the burger occurred, the emergency occurred, and I think most of us thought, well, there goes that surplus. So we have acknowledged that there is that extra 30.
Paul, beyond the contingency, 10,000 line item, you did mention like moving money around, like where would we be moving money from in your mind, like? If we needed to free up supposedly $20,000.
I don't,
Well,
I don't
we need,
have it
we're looking at 10.
right in front of me, and I don't have, we do have to do that from time to time. I mean, it's always been done.
So what have you done in the past? Where does the money come from? Are we taking it from new materials? We're taking it from
Probably
hours?
that's one place, yeah.
Okay.
It's the most flexible place.
And we do have a line for repairs
Yeah.
as well. I don't remember off the top of my head how much that was for. So that was.
$6,000.
I can't really speak intelligently about this in the first place,
Well-
because they don't have it in front of me.
Perhaps you and I should get together and look at that.
I actually have a pretty tight schedule right now. If we approve repurposing that grant, I've got to get back and do that.
Mhm.
If you do now,
But we haven't gotten to that part of it.
no.
Right, any other comments, Carolyn?
Okay, so
Okay.
we've identified 3 sources. The money that the friends have raised, the 10,000 in the contingency. And also we know we have money in for repairs. So it looks like we can cover the 20,000.
So discussion, any other? Right, in that case, we have a motion, we have the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Carolyn? Oh,
She was.
Okay.
she was-
I can see you now. All right. So that's hard stuff. Now we can talk about funding for the rest of it. We started talking about the attorney. You want to go back to your questions on that? And I'm sorry, I
Please.
steered you away.
let my brain shut somewhere else. We can start somewhere else.
Okay.
And then come back to me.
All right.
So your first thought was restructure, submitting.
Well, was it totally right, though?
Well, it's trying to get the one on the table right now.
I had, talked to Upper Hudson about the whole grants process and what we have in the pipeline. One of the things that we have in the pipeline was the move for the main library, and we actually have the money for that project. DLD said, no, we can't do that. DLD suggested that we repurpose once again the 2024 grant, which is not quite processed yet completely. And so, that's where we are.
Sullivan.
No, we have.
I'm sorry. Was that, grant that was originally put together for the windows?
Yes.
That's the 2024 grant. Okay. Sorry. I had it written in Tuesdays. It says a 2023 grant.
And that grant's about, I think, 205,000. The deadline is pretty much now. So, I've got to get going and get, the estimates that I need and, rewrite the grant again. One thing about these grants is once we have it, to this stage, our proposal has to, I mean, we have to use all the money that's there. Which if it's 205,000, we have to use that much. We don't quite have that yet. So what I would add to that probably is, an estimate to remove that section. As I said before, that roof, I pulled the file, that roof is 19 years old. It was done in 2005.
That's the rubber roof.
Both.
Oh, the shingles as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The shingles are listed as 30-year shingles. The roof, and that was one thing I was going to pursue because we were denied the claim because the roof was, you know, too old and deteriorated, and that's not true. That roof was not either old or neglected or at the end of its life. So that's that's one of the approaches I think, that I will pursue on that. But anyway, I think, I'm gonna need that estimate at this point unless they come in with a higher estimate for reconstruction.
Would we have to bid for that? I know we already engaged with the roofing contractor to do the repairs, but if we wanted to. Use this grant money to put a whole new roof on there, we would have to bid out for that, right?
Yeah, we have to do that, yeah.
So I know that we were told that we couldn't repurpose the grants that we already have.
For the main roof.
Right.
So what happens if you repurpose this one to pay for the Lansingburg expenses, and then we get the insurance?
Well, in the extremely unlikely event that we get the insurance, we'll lose the grant. For that year, I mean, it's only 1 year, but. I know we apply for them every year, but we haven't in the past every year.
In the recent past, I think as long as I've been on.
May I? I wonder if, the insurance is to repair the interior portions of that, the exterior has already been addressed by that has already been done, so that value is identified. I wonder if we could then just move it re-roofing more of this building.
With the insurance money.
With the, with the grant money.
Grant money.
If the insurance comes through and says, oh, we changed our mind, here's your money then.
Repurpose a grant to just completely redo the roof.
Well, I think we already,
Can't be purpose, but use.
and I think I heard that Paul's in the process of rewriting that grant to include roofing work.
Yeah, if I
And so,
did,
and then
If you were
you
doing
make
it.
that broad enough that
it's
if that's,
conceivable if particularly now, I don't estimate that that roof would be 205,000. But
Roof
with that,
roof skylights.
the skylight was done with a public library construction grant only a few years ago.
Okay.
I don't think they want to see that again.
No, I'm casting about. Any masonry work that needs to be redone on the
Well,
outside.
You know, we could get some idea of what redesigning that roof would look like it cost. Both of which I don't know offhand, but let's say, we get to the point, the insurance company says, oh, we made a terrible mistake and gives us all. Okay. So we said, well, we still need to do the roof. So I called DLP again and said, you know, we'd like to redesign the roof. Can I change the grant to that? And they would say yes or no.
And I think you had talked about adding roofing to that grant already, so I
Yeah.
think that would be,
So-
and
It wouldn't be, yeah, it wouldn't be unusual. I mean, libraries do that all the time, to make those kinds of
and
changes.
it's related to that scope of work, so
Yeah, as long as it's related, that's the key.
yes.
Now, the other question is, with this 2024 grant that originally started out as the east windows, and we were going to use to facilitate the HVAC, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what it is now.
How does that affect
Thank
our funding and timeline on the HVAC project?
Thank you.
And I asked for that there, so maybe we could even draw some timelines, draw some charts up there if we need to.
I think that's something we need to really talk about too. Philosophically, do we want to not put this money towards the HVAC system?
And
You know, considering our compact with the public, our compact with our partners in funding in all the aspects of the HVAC. That it's something that we need to do and not back away from.
because I think we lose that one with the HVAC system, that HVAC system will get smaller, we have problems completing that scope of work, so I agree.
And that was our whole purpose, repurposing it from the windows to the HVAC. And personally, very leery of doing that.
Let's look at where we are with the HVAC. Don't forget, we've got, we had reduced it to the point of air conditioning the central part of the building. And we have an estimate that's only 600,000.
So I've got grave concerns about that, because what I understand is that estimate that we've received is just for the HVAC portion of it. It does not include the architectural work that's required to support that HVAC
Literally, it's
work.
just for the mechanics.
So I think it's just for the machines, but it's not for all the other work to install, support, and integrate those machines.
Yeah, but we've got 1.2 million.
So exactly my point. And I've been trying to make this clear to the architects who've, quite honestly, I'm not very happy with.
Yeah.
They've not been responsive to this. I've heard from them casually and informally that that is only half the scope of work. That is not the entire scope of work. That is just for the machines themselves. That does not include all the other work that would be required to
No
integrate the.
modification whatsoever.
Yeah.
Physical space.
If you want to have a machine sitting in your lobby that is right there and you're looking at it, that's what you bought. You haven't bought the architectural enclosure for that machine. We haven't bought the things it would take to integrate that machine into our historic building.
That doesn't involve the ductwork?
Does include the ductwork, but it doesn't include the case that goes around this machine. It doesn't include the chases to hold, to contain and conceal the pipes. It doesn't include the ceiling modifications to have that work happen above the ceiling. So I'm pleased, I would like to get together with you to talk with the architects and express the lack of clarity in the information that they provided to date. So please do not look at that number and say that is the value for the project.
No, I wasn't. All I was doing was looking at it with the idea that we can do quite a bit with 1.2 million, a little more than we thought we could, I think.
That's not the sense I got from the voicemails I've been exchanging with these people. Not, I took to have a meeting with them. And sit down and spread that over, because it's,
Okay.
I'm hearing mixed messages from them and incomplete messages from them.
Okay.
In your thoughts, estimates, that 205 would help push that HVAC project forward
Yes,
and in a timely manner too.
yes,
We need to do it, be new, working on it now,
yes,
not waiting for yet another year where we might have to apply for that program
and
for the HVAC.
it should, and costs will go up and our dollars will go less far.
Okay, all right.
My thought is that we've got a couple commitments we've made to the public. And opening this building, I think, is a big piece of that. Doing the HVAC project is also a big piece of that. And we still got to balance those two there. Having a plan to reopen this building, I think, is crucial. This is an emergency that had come up. I don't think we've, as you said before, we didn't have that emergency built into our budget to completely address that emergency condition. So I think we can get this building reopened. That it gets us to meet our public promise that we made. To refix, to readjust, to restore the parts that are damaged by this emergency is a goal, I think, an important goal. But I don't think we've made a commitment to the public. We're gonna have this done next month or next year.
We made,
Well, you know, in light of that, you have to remember, and I know there's some concern about whether you have money, but we're on the hook right now for 92,000 for mitigation.
Agreed.
For this building.
Yes, we have to. do that.
I think, the idea of reopening as we are will buy us time. I have another meeting with, Assemblyman, John McDonald on Friday. I know, and he has actually emailed me a couple of times in terms of where we are and what we're doing. So there's certainly interest there. However, he did think that repurposing a public library construction grant was a good idea. But
oh, yeah.
we can still, and as I said before, I can't use SAM grant money for the same project as a public library construction grant. It's two New York State programs. So anyway.
Well, that begs the question, can we apply, please, someone correct me if I'm wrong, can we apply for a SAM grant, to cover some of the work here and keep the window grant that we were repurposing for the HVAC, so we don't continuously push that off? I mean, we're like 3 years off what it was originally, so.
At this point, I'd like to go up on the board so we can see some of this in terms of timelines. I don't know if you want me to write or somebody else wants to.
If you need to.
It's,
Well, while you're doing that, I had a question. So we do have this bill for the mitigation work. If we pay that and we still use the grant if it's repurposed, pay those, you know, to reimburse us for those costs.
okay.
The grant, if I applied for the public library construction grant, that will cover existing costs and costs you've already incurred.
Okay, so it would cover the mitigation, even if we pay it.
But of course, there's no guarantee. I mean, informally, I'm sure we'll get it if we do that, but there's never a guarantee for anything. We already have the approval that the money's been repurposed to the HVAC. If this is a whole new grant, we're not quite at ground zero as we would if we were just starting this, but we're not, it's not a done deal.
The new 2025 process will be starting soon.
Yes, it will be. That's a whole. I don't know, we talked about the promises. We had public support for our HVAC system.
Yeah.
People who were voting on the DRI committees. Even when there was a little bit of naysayers. There was pushback to that part. We had public comments about how this was an important project. The same thing with the ARPA monies. We had people saying this was an important project. We had people talking about the library and supporting us. We had people who voted to give us the money and supported us. We have the foundation who's gone through this, our foundation who's going through this process with us. We promised staff, we promised patrons, we promised again, all our partners. I'm really leery of repurposing that one again.
May I ask? If you. What do we gotta pay for, we're doing a parapet repair in 2024? Parapet at Maine in 2024,
That was 2023.
but when are we actually paying it? When are we doing the work, when are we paying it?
What are we paying?
When are we
Doing the
paying
work
to have the work
and then-
actually done?
And when are we paying for it?
Yeah, regardless of what's grant.
230,000.
Yeah, just that.
So we're doing the parapet this year, right?
Yeah. Probably starting next month.
What are we doing with roofing on Maine this year?
Generally.
What are we doing with roofing on Maine this year? What did we plan to do?
Yeah, we plan to start the roof. What are you asking? This is, you got the
Or in
rate,
2000.
this is 2023 is the parapet. 2024 is the roof line.
But I think he's looking for when.
I'm looking on timelines
When the
versus
money's
grant years. I'm thinking timelines.
We anticipate that the parapet will take a couple of months, so they're gonna start in mid-March. We anticipate starting the roof right after that,
And,
which probably May.
Of this year.
okay.
Yeah.
And that money is the money we repart. That money is from which grant? The roof money for this year?
The what?
Roof and parapet.
It's a construction grant.
Okay,
Is that what you're asking?
okay,
But were you looking for the year?
yeah,
The roof grant, we were talking about repurposing. Or no, I'm sorry.
No.
Now you got me confused.
No.
The 2024 grant, which is the Windows grant, the HVAC grant, we were talking about repurposing. We cannot repurpose the roof grant.
okay.
They won't allow it.
Okay, when did we expect to spend our money on the air conditioning?
On the what?
On the air conditioning, the money we have now and any money we're gonna add, when do we expect to spend that? 25?
We're already spending some of it, aren't we?
We're spending some of it for design services.
When do we expect to complete? 25?
I think that was, yes. I think 12. Finishing up their documents this year. So 24, 25, I put in both.
Okay, May.
I'm not say complete.
So Now, the 200,000, we had talked about repurposing from east windows to AC. When did we need that money?
Part of that project,
Hmm?
part of that project.
So we need it for 25.
No.
Okay. Or Lansingburg. We're gonna need what, roughly another 100,000 to repair and reopen. Fully reopen,
I think there are two different things there. We talk about reopen. We
Yeah.
talk about $20,000
but
there.
fully repair and reopen.
Well, I think there are three pieces.
I don't think we.
There's the temporary repair and reopen. There is the expenses we've already committed to,
Yep,
and then there are the expenses for refixing the areas that are damaged.
And I think Paul has the term restoration for that.
Restoration,
Restoration is 84,000,
and when do we think we need that money?
that's,
whenever you decide.
That's a great question.
that's the problem.
The sooner the better.
Actually, I'm not sure that sooner the better is necessarily correct.
And because
Because we've made a commitment to have a library here, but we haven't made a commitment to have repaired emergency conditions that came up. So if we can do a temporary reopen, then we're meeting our public commitment. And then we need to find funds in order to,
It buys us time to come up with a good plan,
Right.
essentially.
yes,
Yeah.
now we've already expended money to do the temporary stabilization.
Yeah.
right? That we've got to pay for.
So. Were we to. Repurpose. That east window grant. Were we to repurpose that?
We did.
We already did, right?
No, no,
Yes,
no,
it's done.
It's
It's-
repurposed to the HVAC.
repurposed to HVAC.
Yes.
It's
Okay,
repurposed
It's the
HVAC, it's
HVAC
done.
grant, so.
okay.
It's been approved.
No
We're
more
good.
windows.
No, windows are good.
So
For now.
essentially,
board.
we've got to come up with, just short of 200,000.
Why, where'd the 84 come from, what's that?
The
That's the estimate.
The restoration.
That's a goal, that's not a commitment. That's,
Yeah.
we're saying, hopefully we can get that done in 2025, but I don't think anyone said we have to get that done by 2025.
I split the difference, so we can go either way.
And it could be 2026. Right? We need to find money for that, so that's a separate piece. Let's put that aside till we figure out the other part of that. Where do we come up with the 20? We talked about the 20 coming for our budget. Where are we getting the 92 from?
That's a real question. Because we already, that work has already happened.
Yeah,
So-
Yeah.
we're on the hook for that. We have to figure out how to pay. for
Do
that.
we have to reach into our investments and savings to get that 92? Even if we can try fundraising a bit, but we have to reach into investments and savings. And if we do that. What does that do as far as supporting any additional costs on the AC? And if we reach into investments and savings, how do we replenish it?
The insurance company, something.
So
That has to be done.
repurpose. Could we not repurpose again? What is now the HVAC grant? Could we apply for the upcoming construction grant
Yeah,
for the Lansingburg Library instead?
Yep.
I mean, if we're,
the 2025 grant process is gonna start pretty soon.
and that'll give us more opportunity to try and come
So,
up with funds.
But you're looking at, I mean, you have to remember, you're gonna apply August.
September, and
would
then
be the
go get all the
deadline.
approvals, and so when does
And
the money
that
become
goes
available?
around to 2025. sometime in the spring, and then it goes to DASNY, so 2025. Probably a whole year if, coming around from the time that you apply, you'd be able to do the project.
And that to me speaks against taking it from the HVAC. I don't think it would take that long because your husband will approve it, in September, it goes to DLD, it goes to that process.
That's the thing, and then if you open up, I mean, you buy that kind of time.
I don't understand why it would take, I don't understand why it would take from the HVAC.
If you're, I think what I heard you say is you wanted to take that 200K that was originally done from the windows and what, put it to the plants.
No,
Okay.
that isn't what I was saying. I was saying that why, instead of doing that.
Yeah.
Not repurpose,
It's-
but then applying for Lansingburg for the upcoming.
Marie, it's not your thought process, it's Paul's thought that it would take that long. That's to me why you wouldn't want to take it away from the HVAC. Because right now, that's already.
Okay, so you were talking in support of considering applying for the 20.
Oh, absolutely. I think that should be our next.
For
Upper
Lansingburg.
Hudson. Yes,
And
that's our
that
next
also
one.
gives us more flexibility to
not-
try and seek funds in the meantime.
Right, not backwards, not we try again for HVAC.
No,
We try for Lansingburg next.
Yeah.
Right now, we stick with HVAC.
Right,
That-
which is what
that's-
I was trying to say.
Okay, yeah, I was not, I was countering the, just say, gosh, just be clear.
Okay, so we're thinking we apply and we get full restoration of Lansingburg in 25 or 26.
I don't think we should make deadlines or commitments about that.
But we are comfortable with shifting it all.
Yes, yes.
We leave the money for air conditioning. So the question is, how much of the 92 we gotta come up with? And how many months do we have to do it?
Well, and we don't really know, because from what Paul was saying, that could be part of the grant, the upcoming grant application.
Yeah, as far as
Even
I
if we
know,
already paid for it.
they will cover projects that have already started.
Yeah.
And, so what you're looking for would be 84,000 plus 94,000 plus 11,000.
So
That would get everything done.
178,
Theoretically.
188.
What's that?
I
Yeah,
was trying to add all that up.
90, we've already,
188.
we've already spent 92,000 and 11,000.
Plus whatever else, any other modifications. But that's why we have the opportunity of talking to John, right, about the SAM grant, going back to the insurance company.
Yeah, that,
Back to,
look at our different possibilities.
we have a couple,
with more time to
Possibilities.
explore a lot of alternatives.
exactly.
Well, that's the thing, and I think that's the advantage of reopening. By the time of doing it. I don't think, well, as I say, we'll pursue the insurance company, but I don't think they're gonna ever pay, to be honest.
Well, it
I
depends
I
on,
disagree with that.
Well,
no, there's a case. There's a case, it's just making sure it's a good case.
Yeah.
Well, that's part 2 of this.
I'm
It
just
gives
trying to
time.
plan.
I think maybe you would like some direction from us on this. So maybe to make this a constructive, positive motion, consider the fact it's no. That the motion is to continue to use the 20, and I'm always getting the year wrong, the 2024 construction grant, now repurposed for the HVAC system in place. In other words, not repurpose it.
Second motion.
Any more discussion on that?
Yes, I will caution you, that has not been approved by DASNY. It's been approved by the Department of Library Development.
Right.
So we'll wait, they may have questions.
Well, I'm sure they have questions, but at least for now, we're telling you that we want to stick on that path.
And we may not even need a motion because we've had motion before. So it's, you know,
We did motion on the, I know, but now he has asked a question, if he's asked for some advice, I think it'd be appropriate for us to give him that advice.
It clarifies
Clearly.
our thought process in light of what's happened
Yes.
and memorializes our thought process in the record.
Exactly, so I think it is an appropriate thing, and we have a motion, and we do have a second. All in favor?
I
Okay. Thank you. Now we will continue, at some point, we're gonna have to really look at all our choices and talk about. So, getting our attorney in,
Yes.
and I think that was where you were going last time, I guess, to
Oh, yes, I
refocus.
personally came up with a great list of questions that we should absolutely pose.
Yeah.
I think we should consult with that.
No, I have to, yeah.
Goes back. Do we have any other questions while we're here, sitting here, that we want to ask our attorney? As well as the insurance company, but our attorney, to give us some advice.
Part of it is, I have a letter from the insurance company
Yes, you do. We've seen it.
saying that they don't honor the claim
Great.
Sure.
for the reasons they give. And this is what I want to talk to the agent about, you know, do I respond directly to that letter with an outline of right or wrong? Or is there some other way to handle that? But do I play that card now, I guess is the question. And I can ask the attorney as well.
Right. You know, again, this is that kind of negotiation, and if you're talking to the insurance agent, the representative who actually said, no, I think they have a bias in their answers. Maybe wrong about that, but.
Well, I don't know if you have, I mean, I go through agents and they have a stable of insurance companies that they deal with. And, I don't know, if they have a big stake in Hanover, then yeah, sure, I'll probably find that out.
Right, but it doesn't hurt to ask them. The question is, we might want to get them other advice too.
I mean, I have that kind of judgment. No, there's
If they're,
something, you know. That's why we also contact the attorney and talk to the attorney about that procedure.
well, isn't it that we want to explore all alternatives to financing the costs involved in Lansingburg? So yes, pursuing the insurance company, the city who would offer to help. You know, whatever that we want to explore.
Yeah, there's a number of things, there's fundraising as well.
Yeah.
And that's something that, is a possibility. We're gonna probably explore everything, so.
I get a couple other questions that occurred to me vis-a-vis the insurance company, so I will get an email out on that. Basically trying to understand better, when did the insurance company decide that our roof was not insurable? And why they would continue to bill us after that fact.
Well, they might have, I don't know how they decided that, but they haven't done any inspection.
Exactly.
That at least we're aware of.
Yeah, so that was in your question.
Yeah.
don't they usually notify you if they've been,
They would, yeah.
and
So when did they decide that you were uninsurable? The day after
Right.
the flood.
Right.
That's not very useful.
Several years ago, I recall they did an inspection of this location. It's interesting because, you know, I originally got a letter from Hanover saying that the location was the main island. They didn't, then they go and they ask the agent about this and they said, well, we don't even have the branch, you know, on the insurance policy.
Are you
The
serious?
agent said, yes, you do, it's right here. They just had a different address. But, anyway, what was I? I'm trying
All
to
that,
explain.
all that to me sounds like great fodder for pursuing this.
Oh, yeah, no, it is,
Quickly.
yeah. I might have the letters in my head ready to go, but. I just have to figure out the best procedure to do that in case we do wind up in court somewhere.
that why you want to use, you get to sit with the attorney, the better.
Yeah.
The longer you don't give them your hand over anything, you don't give up anything until you're ready to collaborate with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the, yeah.
So if you're just asking them about your agent about the process, that's one thing, but I don't know if I would put my cards on the table.
Yeah, I would.
What's your timeline?
Well,
Starting the process, talking to the agent? I mean, I think all of us are really very, in an hour.
In about 45 minutes.
Excellent. Let us know how it works.
please, yes.
Could you keep us informed as close to real time as possible?
What's that?
Keep us all informed in
I-
as real time as possible.
Emails to-
That would be really very helpful and appreciated.
Yeah.
I think all of us are
Yes.
feeling certain tension and sleeplessness about this right now. I don't want to wait till March to find out.
Yeah.
So by following this correctly, you're gonna talk to the agent, see your best possible, whatever, go to the attorney. We'll come up with questions. If anyone else has any other questions for Paul that should go to the attorney, please share with everybody, including Paul, of course, but share with us also. It might spur some ideas of what we might think of the question. And it wouldn't hurt to ask Ellen if she'd be willing to talk to us all.
What's that?
It wouldn't hurt to ask Ellen if she'd be willing, even if it's a Zoom call.
Oh, you would if we, get to that point, yeah.
Yeah, because I think we'd like to know, we'd be more comfortable, and a lot of people are coming to us too, looking for information.
Yes.
And I know how some people feel about sharing of information, but I think it's really important for us all to have a very solid base.
We share all information.
Yeah, sure.
As opposed to whether you saw the article in the Times,
Uh-huh.
I'm sure.
Put it internally too.
Unfortunately, it took way too many pictures.
It made the space look so much bigger
It
and
does.
grander than it does when you go back in there, though. I was like, whoa, it's like a warehouse when you're in there. I think it helps us be better advocates too. If we know some of the permutations of this.
Absolutely agree.
Okay.
Just think on where we are in the process.
Yeah.
This allows us to communicate it out. As a
Exactly.
board. So, yeah.
And be accurate.
I think the reopening will send the message that we're doing the best we can.
It's
People
really
like
good.
more than that, though. That's the thing.
Like-
Yeah, no, like, just telling them everything that we are doing
Yeah,
possible is happening. Not just partially reopening and washing our hands of it. People like hearing that.
yeah, no, we don't want to leave that impression, but, you have to say, yes, we're working this way, and this is what we want to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is what we're going to extend.
Yes.
And we're trying to provide the best service possible all around. Okay. Any other thoughts, issues, commentary at this point here with us? Between us. Carolyn, anything else?
If Ellen can't really speak to insurance issues, does the board need to authorize Paul seeking outside counsel with Whitman, Usman, Hannah?
Whitman,
or-
Austin, and Hannah have a lot
I,
of people.
no, I know, I
And
just don't
what she
know.
does is if she doesn't have the expertise, she has library expertise.
Yeah,
That's why we
yeah.
use Ellen. If she doesn't have the insurance expertise, she finds somebody in the front. that
Okay,
does.
I just wanna make sure we didn't need to procedurally. authorize
We don't, I don't think,
I
Okay.
don't think so. I think it
I
is.
have a Whitman, Usman, Hannah,
Okay.
so yeah, you're great.
Hey, they're good.
No, I don't think we need to do that.
There is a building committee meeting next week, is that correct?
Yes.
So perhaps we can get an update at that time.
If not before.
Yes,
If he's gonna call today, I'd rather hear it today.
I agree.
I'd rather hear tomorrow and let him do what else he's gotta do for paperwork.
When is our insurance policy renewed?
Good
That's a
question.
great question.
That's a good question.
Okay, I think I'd be interested in hearing when that is and what our thoughts are on How we might move forward.
And yeah, moving forward, we may really want to look at our troops carrier. That has been brought up more than once.
Well, good practices every 5 to 10 years, you solicit.
All right, in that case, any public comment at this point?
We have
Over
a.
here. How can you miss me? I'm giving you a chance first, and then you got my little people, don't forget about that.
Guess we got people there.
We got people, yeah,
Does iPhone 121 indicate 121 people on the call, or is that just me?
that might.
No,
be.
that's Carolyn.
Carolyn.
Oh.
That would be nice.
So, none there. Public comment, please.
Paul, you usually do your request for donation letters toward the end of the year.
We used,
Used to, would you want to send something out to your donors now? And say, look, we have an emergency, is there any way any of you can help us?
yeah, we have, sort of, talked to the Friends about taking over the fundraising, job for the library, which they did for the past year.
We did.
I did, yeah.
We just
And then they did again when we first had the incident, because there was gonna be a, deductible on the insurance policy, so they, talked about that. Well, the deductible was supposed to be, what, 2,200 or something, and they already raised 8,000, you know, just with that idea. So what my plan was to talk again to the Friends about additional fundraising activity, you know, for this.
It did come up at the outreach meeting. This is the board's outreach meeting, with the friends there. They're part of the group, so, it was discussed.
Yeah.
Resolution to follow. But, so that's a possibility.
And my other comment is, well, you know, the AG is riding high right now, the Attorney General, she's got one big thing under her belt. I'm tempted, I'm being snarky, of course, but that might be an ultimate fallback. The Attorney General.
Are you saying
giving away
Chris-
me?
Well,
No, for the attack phase on the
yeah, no,
insurance, they'll bring it to the Attorney General and say, we paid for this service, we didn't get the service, we're being denied. Can the Attorney General look into it?
yeah, that was actually given to us, in the letter,
Actually, find out
saying
state.
that you can
Insurance services,
go
financial
through
services.
these New York State offices, you know, as an appeal.
I'm out of the loop, Paul.
That's what I need to clarify, is that's the best way at this time, or whether we need to do something else, maybe tougher. The fact that the insurance company recommended going that way really kind of put me off. Yeah, that'll end up dead in the Attorney General's office somewhere for the next 8 years. That's not really what we want.
Right.
But follow through with it.
All right, anything else? If no, I think we have concluded the business at hand for our special meeting. So I am going to make the motion that we adjourn. Do I have a second? Oh, wait, everybody's second. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm always in favor of
Well, we need to get you back in the.
Yeah, right.
Memos. So I